Hey guys, this is something I'd actually recently got, and I'd totally forgotten I've actually got it in here. So I thought I'd do an impromptu in-box review of it. It's not something I would normally go for, but I've seen one or two builds. I know Mike Cohen actually did one, I think about 18 or months to 2 years ago, and it looked such a superb kit. And I thought, I do fancy that. And I'd had this thing on watch for ages and sort of debated on whether to get it or not. And then obviously the deal it was doing a deal, and I actually ordered one in. And I've also saw Michael Booth do his build during his ship group build that he was doing. I forgot the name of it, on Mod Art 633. And yeah, both those guys swayed me, so I ended up getting one in. I mean, I've got others of their U-boat range in, which I'll probably do in-box reviews as well at some stage. So I thought I'd start off with this one, which is well-known Flower Class Corvette. 267 of them were actually built during the course of the war. 7 of them were actually allocated to the US Navy, where they were used as sort of patrol boats, as it were. And they were also employed not only in the Royal Navy, but also in the, let me see, I've written notes on here, Hellenic Navy, New Zealand Navy, Norwegian Navy, also the South African Navy, and the Yugoslav Navy. So there was quite a few actually sent to other countries and used in extensive service, and also the Free French Navy as well during the course of the Second World War. It was actually powered by a, hang on, let me see, type, no, sorry, I've written notes down here, single shaft 2-water boilers, and it had a cylinder. I've written all these down just for information. I can't even read my own handwriting. Oh, I don't know, what am I like? I think it was a 4-cylinder triple expansion steam engine or something, which actually produced 2050 kilowatts. So that was quite a powerful little engine on them. It actually had a crew of 90. It had a length of 205 feet and a beam of 33 feet, and would actually do a top speed of 16 knots, as it were. And this particular ship, sorry about the background noise, that's my housemate. Noise is anything, as I usually timed it just right as I'm going to do in a video, but hey. As I say, it was armed with one 4-inch 17-pounder gun. Was it a 2-pounder? One 2-pounder Pom-Pom Mark 7 gun, 2 Ehrlichen ACAC guns, and 1 Hedgehog depth charge, as it were, depth charge spreader, as it were. But they were potent little ships for their time, very effective, and actually the old Snowberry here was actually claimed part of the kill over in the Azores in the mid part of 1944, I think. She had quite a checkered service career, but unfortunately met an ignominious end after she was paid off from the Royal Navy in the 8th of April 1945, and ended up as a target ship, and what was left of her was scrapped over in Middlesex in 1947, sadly. About the only surviving one is H.M.C.S. Sackville over in Canada, and she's the only one left of her kind, and then it's preserved. So if ever you want to go and see a real Flower Class Corvette, and you're in Canada, that's your best bet. Go and see the old Sackville. And I think Mike Cohen's grandfather actually served on one of these as well. So there you go. the kit itself is, well, for 1/144, quite a size. I have to say I was quite pleasantly surprised. It's actually a reboxing of the old 1/72 Matchbox kit that came out, I think about 20 or 30 years ago. And then they decided to reissue it in 1/144, which I think is an easier size for me. I mean, 1/72 is take up about the size of this bench, I would think. But this, I mean, in 1/144 is still quite a fair old size, and as you can see here from the box art illustration, it's a typical scene of it on patrol in the North Atlantic with a merchant aircraft carrier in the background. As you can see there's the convoy, and one of them's been hit by a U-boat, and at the same time they're being hit with an air raid at that moment in time. So there you go. Kit number, if you want to get hold of it, is, if I can get it near the camera, 05132. Okay, it's got 501 parts in it, and the length of it is 43.9 centimeters. In feet, I don't know what that is. I think it's about a foot. I'm not sure. And then on the back here, got an illustration of some of the sprues and the kit on its various parts made up, as it were. If I can get the box down, you can see itself. So it does look quite an impressive kit on its own, and there it is, obviously fully built. But as you say, if you want to super detail it, Edward do a couple of etch brass sets, and I think you can get hold of some crew in 1/144, which I think are pre-painted. And then down here you've got all your colour call outs, as you can see here. They're all in standard Revell colours, and then obviously you've got a little illustration there of all the Revell modelling products that you can get as well. And this is a level 5 kit, if anybody's interested. And then on the side here, there's a box art illustration again, and again, and again. Okay, it's an open-ended box, as is per usual with Revell. And I don't think I've even, oh yes, I have unsealed it. And then you get, basically, as you can see, if I can get this out, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the actual hull. I mean, it's half, well, actually the length of my arm, actually. So there you go. 6, 7, 8 sprues. So yeah, get that 8 sprues of this. I'm just going to pop them down in the corner, and then we'll go through the instruction sheet. And what's this? Oh yeah, here we go. You've got your decals as well. Right. And on here you've got your new sort of instruction sheet, which you get from Revell now, with a nice colour pamphlet, as it were, for the Flower Class Corvette, H.M.C.S. Snowberry, and there she is, fully made up. So to be honest with you, you could go to home to town with this, with all the weathering, and then obviously if you want to get the etch brass set, that will really add some emphasis on the detail. Or you could do a seascape if you want, you know, as Mike did. Then you open up, you've got all the necessary colour call outs for Revell. Again, you can do it in the colour app for the colour conversion of whatever brand you're using. And they're even telling you sort of the colour mixes you can use up here. Okay, and then you got your sprue tree with all the various 8 sprues, as you can see there, and a little rough guide, etc. And then the first process, or then there's more on here with more of the sprues, and you've even got a little sort of little cube of wool for all the rigging, as it were. I think that just fell on the ground as well. And here it is. There you go. There's your rigging. all in wool. So there you go. Or you could use stretch sprue, whichever your preference is really. And then obviously starts off with the back of the hull where the depth charge sections go, and then obviously you've got the main bulkhead there, and then you put the back of the hull on, add the rudder, and then the two halves go together, and then obviously your foredeck goes on, and your stern goes on, deck goes on there on the main hull, and then you assemble basically the actual stand if you want to put it on its stand as a display, and then you get the singular prop there, as you can see, and then obviously you've got the mid part of the crew housing, or whatever they call it. I'm not very familiar with ships, so you'll have to bear with me. And then you obviously add that and the stabilizers onto the lower part of the hull. This is your depth charge system and racking, which you can see here with all the depth charges, and that's your hedgehog, as it were. Okay, so then what you do next is add the depth charges to the back of the stern there. Okay, and then obviously you've got various sub-assemblies which go to the other part. You've got the other section which is applied to the stern. Then your hedgehog goes on the back, and then obviously you've got the I'm not quite sure what that was supposed to be, whether that's part of the tie-up part. As I say, I'm not familiar with ships, so you're gonna have to bear with me, guys. Crew ladder goes on the rear part of the crew deck, along with the rear anchor, and then obviously you've got your air vents which go on. And then more of the hedgehogs go either side of the crew compartment, and again there, etc. More sub-assemblies and more hedgehogs. So there's a hell of a lot of hedgehogs on here, depth charges, blimey. And then obviously you've got another air vent which goes into the upper part of the crew compartment, and the assembly of the Oerlikon gun and shield, as you can see there. Oerlikon pom-poms, another part of the air vent. And I think these are part of the rear parts where the ship is tied up, etc. I'm not sure what they are. Frankie Day can probably point that one out of me. That might be part of your armour thing, I'm not sure. More poles go on the back there. I don't know what they're for. I'll have to do my research. And then obviously you basically, the crew ladder into the Oerlikon pom-pom gun goes on, along with the radar or search finder. And then air vents go on as well. More ammo boxes go on. And then obviously you've got the rails which go on the sides as well. And on the opposite side, along with another crew ladder. Then the assembly of the main smokestack, and then you've got your life raft that goes onto the board for the life raft, then assembled to the deck, and then obviously likewise with the other one as well. Okay, dinghy, I think it is known as, and then you've obviously got the actual support arms which lower the dinghy down, or lifeboat or whatever it was. And then it's more dinghies are added again, and then the smokestack is added to another part of the crew compartment, and now another part of a rear housing there, or captain's, whatever it is, I don't know. As I say, I'm not very familiar with marine craft. Again, more sub-assemblies, lumps and bumps go on there. More air vents or assembles and go on the rear deck, nearer the part where the smokestack is again, and ammunition boxes, more railings, more ammo boxes, etc. And then more railings again on the mid part of the deck, and more I don't know what they call those, forgotten, hoses or whatever they are. Excuse the noise. And then obviously the assembly of the actual lifeboat itself, which goes onto the port side. Is it starboard side? Starboard side of the deck. Was it port? I can't remember. Then another part of the crew housing, another ammo box. That is going onto the back deck. I think that's the upper deck plate. And then the Oh no, that's the wheelhouse. Sorry, that's the wheelhouse. Beg your pardon, at the front of the ship. And then obviously the actual wheelhouse is assembled. And then obviously more beams and frames are added. Another ammo locker. Another theme there. As you can tell, I don't know a lot about ships. And then more ammo boxes, etc. And lumps and bumps go on there. Another arm for one of the lifeboats. And then more lumps and bumps. Another part of the crew housing. I think some of the side compartments where the frame goes. That's added to the wheelhouse as well. And then obviously you've got the actual main part of the inner part of the actual steering compartment and crew compartment, or captain's compartment as it were, is put on up above the wheelhouse. And a sonar room, well, that might be, yeah, that could be the sonar room as well. And then obviously your searchlight is added along with more bulkheads, etc. by the captain's compartment or crew compartment. And then the single Oerlikon gun is put together along with more hedgehogs and another ammo box. Again, more sub-assemblies and air vents are going on. Searchlights, Oerlikon pop guns. More sub-assemblies around the back of the crew compartment, and then obviously your main ASDIC radar. I think they use that, the ASDIC radar, type 7 ASDIC radar goes in, or house. And then obviously you've got your front 3 shields going onto the Oerlikon gun. That goes on to the rear of the actual crew cabin. More hedgehogs go on, and then final sub-assemblies, etc. I think so it's quite an in-depth build, as you can see. And then obviously you've got the main anchor going on along with the anchor chains, and the main mechanism for the anchor chains is going on, another air vent, etc. And then obviously more shielding goes on there. And then you've got the main mizzen mast, I think, which goes on, or is it the flagpole? I can't remember. Oh, that's your main mizzen mast with the crow's nest, and then obviously you've got the stairs that go up into the crow's nest. Rear flagpole goes on, and then they're showing you where to tie some of the actual rigging, as it were, on the part there, but I think you can get an brass set for that. And then how to rig the actual main mizzen mast. More rigging there, as you can see. And that's it. And then obviously you've got your main colour call-outs for H.M.C.S. Snowberry as it is. I mean, some of you might want to do it as a Royal Navy ship. There is another one that they do in this range. I think that's H.M.S. Buttercup, which had a slightly different deck compartment, and it had more of a sort of a snout at the front of the actual bow, as it were. I think that was for getting rid of mines or something, or an anti-mine detector or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But overall, once it's built, it should make quite an impressive model on your shelf. So there you go. So right, we'll have a look at the various kit parts. As I say, you got your rigging there. Then I think this is sprue J. So I'm not very familiar with ships and etc. and what everything is, but the level of detail on this, especially with this this thing here, where you've got all the chain and the actual mechanism, is extremely good. Little bit of flash on this there, but you can snap that on, just give it a little sand. But basically a lot of it is very, very clean, and very highly detailed, to be honest with you. As you can see there, you've got your hedgehogs there. There's the detail on the life rafts, as it were. That's your main lifeboat, as it were, and the main frame with it up the top there. Various lumps and bumps. I'm not very familiar. There are more crew ladders there. Your hedgehog, as you can see there, where they used to actually fire it over into the actual where the U-boat may have been. But as I say, I'm not very familiar with what parts of a ship they are. I'm not sort of a naval guy, as it were, but having seen this, I just thought, I might get my teeth into this. And then obviously you've got your searchlight there, as you can see. Again, nice crisp detail on that, very nicely done. And I must admit, I do like the detail here, where you've got the oars, etc., for your life raft. Oh no, that's not right. Beg your pardon, forget I just said that. There is a little bit of flash here and there, but hey, nothing a sander can't improve on. And then obviously you've got your gear here for the tow cables, or when they mount the ship up. And then there's one of your Oerlikon guns. Nice level of detail on that as well. So that's sprue J. Let's get that back in the bag. I don't want to lose any of this. Put that over there. Alright, this is a very similar one again, so I won't go through that. Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll go through is sprue, what's this one? G. This is sprue G. And the good thing is, unlike Tamiya, we haven't got any staples, so it's easy to get into. And this is obviously part of the actual main crew compartment, the captain's ready room, or whatever it was. You've got the main glass, which is the skylight here, which is nicely detailed. Then you've got the mount for the main gun right here. Again, nice level of detail there, guys. Part of the deck housing there for the main bridge. And then obviously you've got your smokestack here. There is a little bit of flash here and there, but again, it's nothing a sander can't get rid of. Again, you've got side compartments for the deck here, or crew compartment. Again, I like the way they've got the porthole detail there. Very nicely done. And the rear part where the actual depth charges come out is nicely done as well. Okay. Again, you've got various lumps and bumps, parts of the actual main mizzen mast, as it were, here. And the railings. Which again, I must admit, are a little bit thick, but there again, I think Edward do an etch brass set where they're more to scale, as it were. But as I say, I mean, the detail on some of the actual crew hatch, you know, the door compartments is very nicely caught. So yeah, very nicely done. I must admit, I'm looking forward to building this. So that's sprue G. Oh, one thing I did forget to show you on the duplicate sprue is obviously you've got the mount for where the name plate goes on here, if you want to mount it on the stand. Okay, so that goes back on there, and then we're going to go on to sprue. I'll get both of these out. You've got two sprues in here. You've got the stern and part of the decking. Again, nice level of detail here, because most of the deck was sort of a copper plate, as it were, plain sort of enamel plate, as it were. There were odd parts where they had some sort of wooden decking. I think you can get an aftermarket wooden decking for this as well. I'm not sure. I'll have to research on that. Again, the other half of the smokestack there. Not quite sure what that is. Sorry about that, guys. The mount for one of the guns there. What else? Some of the piping here. Another mount for one of the actual guns, which you can see here. I think it's quite tiny. And then you got the main sort of part, the turret for your 7-pounder gun. So there you go. I haven't seen the barrel on this yet. Oh, there you go. There's your main part of your gun, which goes in, looks of it, in 2 halves, unfortunately. So you're going to have to do some sanding on that. That's a pain in the arse. But hey, never mind. But again, as you say, overall, there is a lovely level of detail on this kit. And then obviously got the front part of the hull, upper hull, or decking. Again, as you can see, you got it moulded in there for the wooden deck, but I think, as I say, you can get some aftermarket wooden deck for that. And then there's the main part, the deck area, and obviously you've got other parts here. There's a mount for one of the guns, which again, it's got a nice level of grating detail on there. So very nicely done. And I think this is part of the signalling system, or is that more? I'm not sure. And then rear part of the decking housing there. And again, very nicely detail on it, ammo boxes, etc. Parts of the hull and the decking. There's the ship's chains. Again, if you want to, I should imagine you can source some aftermarket if you want more realistic chains. And there's part of the actual framework where they've got the side part of the decking where they used to walk through. So yeah, very, very nice, I have to say. There we go. Right. Let's pop that in there. And with that. Add that in there. And then we come to the main crux of the actual kit itself, the hull and obviously the bulkhead. And we've got a couple of screws here. Obviously you've got the outer part of the wheel housing, and again, nice level of detail there. Good emphasis for weathering, that's the upper part. And I think this is where the Oerlikon guns go as well. And then you've got your side framing, which is a particular well-known feature on the Flower class Corvette. Then you've got your rear prop. There's only ever one rear prop, and I'm not sure if that's part of the stabiliser unit, I'm sure. And then obviously you've got the main mizzen mast here, along with the ladder and the upper part of the mizzen mast. Again, not a bad level of detail on that at all. There you go, very nicely done. Then obviously you've got parts of the actual main stand here. Unfortunately, there are some sink marks here, so you're going to have to fill them in if you were going to put it on display. There's the rear rudder, because it only ever had a small rudder, and these are the stabilisers, although these damn things used to rock around like you wouldn't believe in rough weather. And there's your main bulkhead there, which you can see. Okay, I don't know why they bothered with doing that, because by the time you get that inside the hole, you're not going to see it anyway, but hey ho. And that is basically that. And then obviously we'll have a look at the hull, one part in the actual hull. As I say, it's quite lengthy. It's about the length nearly of half my arm, so there you go. I mean, it's going to build into a big old display piece. But again, I like the way they've got the various plates on the side of the hull. That's very nicely marked on there. Good emphasis for weathering, because I mean, these things used to get beaten up like you wouldn't believe in the North Atlantic, so they were fairly sort of weathered. For the actual side of the hull together, let's have a look if I can get the two together. Again, Can't get them together. Makes a fair old size, I'll tell you. And it's going to make a fair old display piece, even in 1/144th. I mean, I know 1/72 is twice the size, but even so, well, if that's sitting on your shelf, it certainly wouldn't get unnoticed. So there you go. But I love the way they've caught the shape. It's very, very accurately done. As I say, once it's built, it's going to make an impressive display piece, even if you do it with a seascape, which I must admit, when I get around to building this, I wouldn't mind having a crack at. So there you go. So that's that. So we'll put them back in their bags. There we go. And then the final one is obviously all your clear parts. You've got one for your searchlight there as well. Your main sort of searchlight. Again, it's all fairly, I wouldn't say it was absolutely clear. But they're fairly clear. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. And then finally, I think you've got your decals, because you've only got the one option, which is H.M.C.S. Snowberry. Whether there is any aftermarket decals for another version that you want to do, I'm not quite sure. But there you go. Again, look quite, but they're not too shiny. I should imagine they will actually bed down quite nicely. I mean, you've got all the various depth markings there, which you can see, which go on the front of the hull as well as the rear rudder, etc. The flag and Donald Duck there, which was a well-known insignia for the old Snowberry. So yeah, not bad at all. I'd say it is quite impressive looking kit for 1/144, and obviously with all the U-boats it looked good alongside with it in a display. So it is an impressive looking kit, I have to say, and up to Revell's usual high standards. Yeah, you can add to it if you want to, which I probably will do, to give it a little bit more detail and scale depth. But it's certainly something that you really want to get your teeth into, and I know most ship modelers take their subjects take a lot of time. But as I say, I haven't seen Mike, well, the two Mike's videos. I don't know if Mike Booth managed to get his finished yet. It's probably still ongoing WIP, I should imagine. It would make an interesting subject if you wanted to have a go at a ship that you hadn't done before. But from what I see, I'm pretty much pleased, I have to say. So there you go, that's the end of this video. It's been going on for just over half an hour now, but as I say, there's a heck of a lot of stuff to keep you busy in this kit. You can get aftermarket from Edward for it if you want to super detail it. Crew figures, I think you can source them on there if you want to get them. But yeah, it would make an immensely impressive piece on your shelf once it's built, I have to say, or even in a display case if you didn't want to get any dust on it. So there you go, and I would heartily recommend that you guys go out and get one. So there you go. Anyway, that's the end of this review, which has nearly been going on for about 35 minutes. So as I say, I may well do an inbox review of the other subjects of the U-boats that I've got in this series, and I'll speak to you soon. So until the next time, get kit crazy, happy modelling, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.